Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Japan Travel Diary series. So, as you might be aware, this is now day 2 of our 3-day trip to Fukuoka. And to start off our second day in Fukuoka, we headed to a small cafe that was just a short walk from the hotel that we were staying at. So this small cafe here is called Kōhī-kan poejī. Now, you can't actually search for this cafe in English, so I'm gonna leave the Japanese name and a map link for the location in the description below, just in case anybody is interested. So the coffee they make here is slow drip coffee, which actually takes all day to brew. It had such a cozy vibe in here as well. The coffee with eggs and toast was only 600 yen, or roughly $6 for the set. Coming from Melbourne, prices like this seem unbelievable. Even finding a coffee in Melbourne nowadays, it's gonna be a challenge for less than $6. And that's not including any food. This was really such a cozy, wholesome little cafe, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely somewhere that I do hope to come back to if I'm ever in Fukuoka again. After breakfast, we took a drive with my wife's friends from the previous day out to the mountains of Fukuoka. Now, I didn't actually know this until we got to where we were going, but there's actually no internet service out there because it's so far out in the mountains. So after seeing this place, if you do plan on going, just be prepared for that. So the place that we came out to here in the mountains was called Nomiyama Kannonji. This map does a pretty good job of showing just how much there is to see here as well. We came out here to see the Kōhyo, or autumn leaves, changing, and the Nomiyama Kannonji temples and shrines did not disappoint. They did have some street food stores here as well, and the smell was so good because this was the season for sweet potatoes. To start, we headed to the area that was showing on the left-hand side of the map from earlier, which is called Nomiyama Kannonji Temple. I think autumn is my favorite time of year in Japan. I just love being out surrounded by trees with all the amazing different colors. Aside from the rainy day here or there, the weather is almost always perfect as well. The colors of the leaves as they go through the change always leave me in awe of just how beautiful Japan is. There were actually quite a few shrines and temples here at Nomiyama Kannonji. Now, I didn't actually film the inside of any of the shrines here. Even though they didn't have signs saying no cameras, a lot of shrines do, and that's because it is quite frowned upon to film the inside of shrines and a lot of temples in Japan. So to play it safe, I just didn't film them because I just didn't want to be disrespectful. When heading towards the next area of Nomiyama Kannonji, we did stop off at the street food stores. I honestly could not resist the smell of the freshly fried sweet potato chips. They were lightly salted and had a really good balance of salty sweet flavor. After we finished eating, we started to head over to Hokotateyama Tenno-in. On the way, we passed this one spot that had these Jizo statues. There are apparently more than 3,000 statues of Mizuko Jizo, which is the Jizo statue for deceased children enshrined here. So unfortunately, I didn't film too much of the Jizo statues, and that's mainly because I didn't actually notice them until we were just about to leave and I came back to film this shot. And that's basically just because unfortunately I was just too busy looking at all the trees, because they were really beautiful. Anyways, moving on to Tenno-in. So Tenno-in is actually number 36 of the 88 temple Sasaguri Pilgrimage. Now there is a small entry fee of just 400 yen, or roughly $4 per person to enter this area, which in my opinion is well worth it for everything that we got to see here.
確かに覚えたらすごい。あ、トムがいいの？次は。はい。トム。紙が欲しいの。紙が欲しい。どこ行くの？こっちこっちこっち。後ろ後ろ。帰っちゃうから行こう。
Oh, I didn't see all those statues down there before.
It eventually leads around to this really unique pagoda where you can place your written prayers to later be burned. The burning of prayers is part of Buddhist and Shinto rituals. The burning of wooden or paper prayers symbolizes purification and carries the prayers to deities. It was such a nice experience coming here. I don't think we would have ever thought about coming to this place if we didn't have friends that lived in Fukuoka. The only unfortunate thing is there isn't any public transport that actually comes out here, which means the closest stop from public transport would be close to a 2-hour hike up into the mountains to get here. On the way back to the Hakata area of Fukuoka, we stopped off for lunch at this ramen shop called Ichikyu Ramen. Ichikyu Ramen is a very small ramen shop. Now, for that reason, they didn't actually allow filming inside the actual ramen shop itself. And that's mainly just for the privacy of the other customers that are there. However, they were perfectly fine with us filming our actual food, just not everybody else that was in the store, obviously. So this here was the ramen that my wife chose. I don't remember exactly which one this was though. I ended up getting this ramen which had wontons in it, and this is actually the first time that I had a wonton ramen, but man was it good. After lunch, we continued back into Hakata. We ended up walking to Canal City in Hakata, which is a big shopping mall. I don't know why when we just finished eating, but we walked through this little ramen museum type place here, which had all these different little ramen stores with all different specialties. Honestly, it was like torture seeing all the amazing looking ramen dishes and not getting any of them. So we decided to not stick around here too long. We made our way through to another store in the mall that I had wanted to check out, which was the Gundam base in Fukuoka. Gundam Wing was actually one of the first anime I ever watched as a kid. Seeing all the amazing models has kind of made me think about collecting them ever since. Seeing the creative ways that some people go to paint these and set them up to create scenes is just something that I really like. I was actually kind of shocked at how cheap Gundam Wing models were. I'm used to seeing anime figures costing hundreds of dollars. There were some expensive ones, but still way cheaper than I thought Gundam models would be. After checking out the Gundam base store, we headed to the Bandai Namco Cross store, mainly to check out the Gachapon store. I ended up getting these really cute Pikmin. The first one I got was the blue Pikmin, which I actually did want, so I did decide to give it another shot, just to see what else I would get. Which I ended up getting the yellow one as well, which I was pretty happy because these were the main two that I actually wanted. So I decided to quit while I was ahead. On the way out of the mall, we passed this really cute store which had these super cute Pikachu school backpacks which looked so stylish. So I was kind of tossing up on whether or not I wanted to finish showing off the rest of this day in Fukuoka, mainly because it did consist of going out and drinking quite a bit. But in saying that, it was still a really good night and there was still a couple of really interesting things as well. And we went to some really nice places. So it was at this point that it was starting to get a little bit late. So we ended up meeting up with another friend at this really small bar called Sashimi to Sake no Rambo. And again, this is somewhere that you can't actually search for in English, so I'm going to leave the text and a map link in the description below again, just in case anyone's interested. As it was a small bar, again, I didn't really film too much in here, just kind of for privacy reasons. So this little bar has something that is completely unheard of here in Melbourne, which is actually something that's quite common in Japan, so you can actually find this in other places as well. But it's referred to as nomi hodai, which basically just means all you can drink. So for roughly $10, you can have any drink you want for an hour. So you can have all the alcohol you want, any drinks at all, for $10 for an hour. That is just something that is completely unheard of here in Australia, especially in Melbourne. Drinks here would cost you anywhere from $13 a drink. There's definitely no way you could spend $10 and have all the spirits you want, for instance. So I ended up having plenty of umeshu while we were here because I really like sweet plum wine personally. But at this bar was actually the first time I ever had raw chicken as well. I was so surprised at just how good it was because eating raw chicken basically goes against everything I've ever been taught about preparing chicken. After the bar, we took a short walk to the restaurant where we were going to be eating dinner at. Now, the owner of this restaurant is actually a friend of the friend that we met up with at the previous bar as well. So this restaurant is called Matsunabe Tashu. We actually met up with a few other friends when we got here as well. So there ended up being a bit of a group of us. They have these hot pot style meals here, which were so good. Now, these set meals also include 90 minutes of nomi hodai, which means a second round of all you can drink. And I must admit, it was at this point that I was starting to get a little tipsy because I was drinking quite a lot. I only really drink like this once maybe every 3 or 4 years, if that. I've just never really been into going out and drinking, but you know, this was a special occasion. The food here was absolutely amazing though. I do remember that much. Apparently though, we weren't quite done yet. So after dinner, we ended up going out to a karaoke bar, which was called Casual Bar Rainbow, I think. So obviously we came out here to do some karaoke, and you guessed it, more drinking. I definitely had a few too many of these absinthe shots though. My wife's friends were quite a lively bunch. Although I'm not really a fan of going out and drinking this much, it was still a really fun night out. However, in saying that, there was one really disappointing thing, and that's after the karaoke, we decided to go for one more stop. And that's because I had been craving ramen for quite a while. Even though we had it earlier on in the day, I was kind of craving it again after going to that little ramen museum. So apparently we went out to this really nice, classy ramen place called Gyokotsuya. As I said, because I really wanted more ramen. I honestly don't even remember filming these clips here. I kind of wish I could have seen myself though, with how much I had drunk that night. The level of focus it must have taken to try and be this steady must have been insane. So after the late night ramen, we headed back to the hotel, and I was told that that was at about 4 a.m. in the morning. The unfortunate part of that is I had to be up at 8 a.m. to shower, pack, and check out of the hotel, as we would be flying back to Yokohama later in the afternoon the next day. Now the next day of the travel diary series was such a nice day for the final day in Fukuoka. We went to a lot of really nice hidden gems. I just wish that I had a little bit more sleep when we did it. But nevertheless, I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye for now.